Greetings and welcome back, Dapplings, to From the Depths and to our campaign, where in the previous campaign episode, we were arraying our forces around the Deepwater Guard's last bastion, last line of defense, preparing for an attack. Now, they have responded by sending out a Strength 40 fleet, Strength 39 fleet, consisting of a Coughing Nail and, I believe, a Scuttle Gun and a Scrapper. They're coming out to meet the Fasic and the Titanic too. We have almost enough resources to consider spawning in our latest fortress, and my intent is to spawn in that fortress and then move the fortress ponderously slowly towards this resource gathering zone, so that the fortress, the first thing it does after being born is crush the remaining forces of the Deepwater Guard, or be crushed in turn. If it cannot take on the Deepwater Guard's fortress, then it does not deserve to be in our fleet. We will cull the weak, even if they take with them almost all of our resources. But first we have to deal with these scallywags who are preparing to attack us. It shouldn't be a particularly difficult battle, especially given we are going to have the Fasic here to help us with that. So let's go ahead and just start the battle and see how the Fasic can do. I strongly suspect it's going to do fairly well. Let's jump over there. Also make sure that everything is in combat mode. There we go. Also, your main weapon is turned on now. Now, that was unfortunate. I'm fairly certain that the Titanic took a little bit of damage there. How did you take damage? You got hit by a shell because you're not getting deep enough into the water. That is very unfortunate. Now, please be taking out those missiles for us. Now, a couple of people have mentioned that they believe that missile defense systems will only protect from missiles that are incoming for that vehicle. That may well be true. I'm going to have to keep a very close eye on things to see if that's the case. But it looks like you guys are in for a very bad time of it, because the Avatar has decided to start shelling you. It has already stopped, though, which is very unfortunate. I think the Titanic 2 just had enough of your shenanigans and took you out with a very, very swift torpedo to the midsection over there, Scuttle Gun. That's what you get, you naughty boy. Alright, well, there's no way I'm going to be getting out to these guys to try and capture them. So it's down to just seeing how quickly the Fasic can finish them off. It's doing quite well, though, at making sure that these missiles aren't even getting close enough for their shrapnel to be useful. I do appreciate that. And it looks like the Titanic 2 just finished off the... I believe that was an urchin. And it's just going to, for good measure, just wipe out whatever is left of the scrap. Though that could have been... Honestly, I'm not even sure which one it was. I think that may have actually been one of the torpedoes from the Fasic that took out that last ship. And then the Titanic 2's weapons came in. Oh, why have they engaged? Oh, there we are. The Titanic 2's torpedoes came in and finished it off. But let's have a look at how much punishment this Coffin Nail is taking. Quite a lot, actually, though it's shedding weapons constantly. I suspect it is going to be joining us in the water very, very soon. At least as soon as the Fasic can train its weapons properly. It does seem to be trying to lead its shots a little bit too aggressively, and as a result, missing quite a lot. Now, I doubt the Coffin Nail is having this similar problem. Ah, there we go. It managed to sweep its hail of bullets across the Coffin Nail, stitched a hole in the hull, sawed it in half, practically. Well played indeed. Though it's having a little bit of trouble now, but if that thing gets in the water, then the Titanic 2 is just as likely to finish it off as anything else. Things don't tend to last too long in the water once the Titanic 2 is close enough to fire, because its torpedoes move so quickly. But honestly, at this point, no, I don't even think it's going to get to the water. The Fasic's weapon systems are very, very well put. And suddenly decided, nah, it's not worth my time. Missiles! Abandon your attack formation. Just go somewhere else. Go on holiday. Missile holiday is best holiday, I'll have you know. Right, okay, well, let's... Titanic, you're going on hold for now. Nice and deep, so you're not going to get hit by those torpedoes. And the Fasic, you're going out of play. we've done all we need to do here. It is time for us to load in our fortress. And then, for me, to tell you what I've decided on for the name. Now, we are going to want the fortress out pretty much as far away as it can be. We're up to version 13. Now, quick cover of something I've changed. From my plans, that is, from the build video. I haven't painted the fortress yet, because I want to put this up on the workshop unpainted, but I do want to load it in now. So we're going to load this in, name it. We're going to see how it works in terms of combat at least once, so that if there are any glaringly bad mistakes with the weapon system, I can address those mistakes before I put it up on the workshop. And then following that, the next time you see it, it'll probably be painted, depending on the amount of time I have available before the next recording. But it is time for us to load in this fortress. Come on, let's see it go. Where are you building? Okay, there you go. Building all the way down here. Oh my lord. Are you going to build in the water? I'm not sure I approve of that. You get. Please build it faster. We need that engine going. Like right now, actually. The engine needs to be built. Okay, it's got a little bit of... Oh dear. This may be very short-lived. Putting this thing together... Yes... You know what? I think the best thing for me to do in this particular situation is jump down onto the Kabandha. It's not going to be much, but at least I should be able to help a little bit with the repairs. There we go. We get somewhere where it's actually going to be harder for me to fall off. This will do. For now. Eventually you'll build something and it'll push me off. But I suspect we should be okay at this point. I hope. No, have you pushed me off already? Really? I was on there for like a few seconds. That's just rude. But I shall bring you back when this fortress is very near to completion. And welcome back. We are very, very nearly finished with this. We have an awful lot of repair potential on the Kabandha. And the Titanic 2 is doing its fair share of the work, sending across 60 hearts worth of repair. I have no idea how much in terms of RP that is that's getting repaired per second, or how much that equates to in blocks. But the Kabandha itself has got 115 naturally, so that's actually rather good. I suspect this is actually some sort of cumulative amount. I'm not sure, but we are very, very nearly finished. And there we go. It is done. The Kabandha is ready. I think we should jump aboard and see a couple of the changes that I may have made. But, well, I think perhaps they might be better shown in battle. Let's not dilly-dally. Let's not make a big pomp and fanfare before we're even in a fight. But look at my resources. I'm down to 15,000 metal. Oh, Kabandha, you take an awful lot. But it's time for us to rename the Kabandha. We can do that from the map. Now, the Kabandha and the class itself. So first I'm going to create it, and then I'm going to save the class and then add the HMS designation to it. But wow, this was hard because so many people came up with some amazing suggestions, and some of them were really fitting. There were actually several that made perfect sense for it. So I've actually been having this constant internal debate since reading the comments of, oh, I'll go with this name. That's the best name. And then about 5 minutes later, it's like, but this one's really good as well. No, we'll go with that one. And then, no, I liked my first choice. No, the third choice now is pretty appealing. I've been seesawing back and forth, and I'm usually not that indecisive. Unfortunately, we can only have one name. And when it came down to it, although I actually feel that some of the other suggestions were perhaps more fitting for what this was, and some were just seemed thematically correct, like someone suggested the Rook, and I thought, oh, that's actually really good. I like it a lot. But in the end, I've chosen to go with a name which is from a mythology I'm not familiar with. When all other things are equal, and even when they're not quite equal, I tend to enjoy learning about new mythologies, or at least parts of mythologies that I'm not as familiar with. So I have decided that this craft shall be known as, now I need to get the spelling right here because it's really not something that I'm familiar with, and I'm almost certain I'm going to get this wrong, but the Kabandha, I'm not sure how that should be pronounced. I'm going to have that, a look up on that and go to some sort of pronunciation website and see if we can get that. But this was suggested by Gary the Gammerid. Now, the Kabandha, or Kabandha, is a demon with no head or neck, with one large eye on the breast and a mouth on the stomach. Now, the eye on the breast thing doesn't make much sense here, and this fortress does clearly have a sort of neck, but I was actually quite taken by the mouth on the stomach, considering it's actually got like a mouth-like aperture going right around. And in fact, I might even shape this after the fact to make it have the impression of teeth going all the way around. Plus, that's where the resource gatherers are fairly close to, so it seemed to make sense. So there we are. Gary the Gammerid, thank you very much for the suggestion. Now, all we need to do is just split this force from the fleet. Bump. There we go. We should have a new fleet. And I think it's time to take out the Deepwater Guard. I think we need to name this fleet, but what we're going to name it, I have no idea. Faction's End. We'll go with that. That seems a little bit more poetic, if nothing else. Right, let's get you then. You're going to be very slow, aren't you? Yes, yes you are. However, we can speed up time. I do so like this function. We will then begin the battle setup. I mean, I could start the battle from all the way over here. Probably not particularly useful, because I don't really think that this has any particularly great range weapons. And I don't think this fortress has any particularly great range weapons either. So it would more than likely end up being a very boring battle for a very long time. However, once we're actually relatively close, there we go. What are we going to have first up? Let's see what we're going to be fighting as our first little force. A scrap and a sledge. Shouldn't be a problem, honestly. In fact, I think we're going to get close enough that the rings are touching. Then we're going to bring everyone into the fight together. I think that would be the most grand way of doing it. And I think that's about there. Right, okay. So, without any support, we're going to see how this goes. There we are. Let's bring everyone into the fight. Because why do things by halves? 28.6 thousand blocks are going to be in this fight. A single fort, which will soon be joined by not quite the fort that I suspect you're going... Not quite the torpedo force that I suspect you are expecting, given that I said it was going to be something, and I've changed my mind. I decided there was a much more fitting torpedo vessel available, and my lord, so slow. Recover game. Oh my lord, that was bad. That was scary bad. Okay, well, there we are. I've got to destroy that over there. I also want this fort a little bit further out of the water. Come on, climb up. This is going to be a slow battle. I'm just warning you there. Now, I wouldn't be surprised at all if a couple of people have worked out what I'm going to be bringing in as its torpedo weapon. We've got some missiles in the sky already, and the fortress itself is already starting to attack the enemy fort, but we're going to have the Mandrakes here. I mean, it's such a reason. Why was I making a custom-built torpedo system when I could just build a Mandrake? That seemed to make crazy sense to me. So, Mandrakes are being constructed. 3 of, in fact. I've gone away from the sub-vehicle spawner, and instead I've just got a vehicle spawner that is set up with a control block that will try and build up to 3 of them and keep 3 of them in the game at any one time. Now, we've got some enemy forces coming this way from the enemy fortress. It looks like they're actually building new vessels, which is actually pretty interesting. Now, the Mandrake has already launched its payload. Fantastic. Now, they are going to be bobbing around quite a lot down there, because they're going to bump into each other initially, but they'll eventually just catapult off each other and will be somewhat displaced from underneath the main fortress. But I still need to pull this fortress up to about an altitude of around 40-45, I would say. That is where it seems to do do the best. Now, how are we doing in terms of taking out the enemy aircraft? Really well, actually, I would say. Our missile systems seem to be fantastically effective. I approve. I'm sorry I haven't been paying too much attention to the fight so far, but look at those missiles. Oh, so close. They are fairly good at chasing, though. I am liking it. We'll continue to watch and see if this can get up there and take that plane out. Oh dear. Incoming bombs by the looks of it. I did not think to build anything on top of this fortress to take out those incoming missiles. That's bad times. Come on then, missiles. We need some meteor hammers in the sky right now. Launch the meteor hammers. Taking a little bit of damage. There we go. Meteor hammers away. Go forth. Destroy completely. Come on. You can do this. Oh, it's very maneuverable. Damn you and your maneuverability. Right, we're up to 54 altitude. I suppose that'll do for now, as we build more and more mandrakes. Oh dear, we seem to be losing one of them. 2 damage. That should be fine. It's just getting clobbered by its sibling. It'll be fine. Right, let's have a look at how this is going. I was honestly hoping that our main laser system would actually prioritize some of these things, but it doesn't seem to want to. It's a little bit of a pain. Okay, well, I think we are possibly in motion, or we might not be, actually. Right, well, while everything is going on over here, I'm going to make my way ponderously over to this dock so we can have a proper look at it. Oh, look at that crane. It's actually a proper little dock. It looks wonderful. And it looks like it's also anchored to the ground, which is pretty interesting. Our laser is doing a moderate amount of damage here and there. I mean, our fortress is capable of projecting its damage across a, frankly, obscene range, thanks to the laser being set up as a pulse laser rather than a continuous wave laser. But it's not especially accurate, so I don't feel that we're cheesing this fight, really. It's scoring a couple of hits here and there, and it's probably done, you know, appreciable damage to certain components. But honestly, this fortress actually looks like it's just a bunch of ships together. It's got a gate. It's got an actual lock. It is closing the gate. That is wonderful. I suspect that it builds sub-vehicles in this dock here, and then opens the gate, and then they leave. Oh my lord, this thing, it's beautiful. They've also got a little lighthouse as well. This is a thing of beauty, everyone. A thing of absolute beauty. Are we going to destroy it is the question. I'm really not sure. Now, let's have a look back down here. Now, I apologize for the low frame rate. It is very low. How are our torpedoes doing? Got a couple in the water. I think we're also working on the 3rd Mandrake right now. Yes, 3rd Mandrake is getting constructed. It's wonderful. We've got quite a lot of shells coming this way. But as you can see, our shields are quite effective. Shields on a spin block allow you to achieve with less shields what would require an enormous engine to support otherwise. So, for example, we've got 3 limbs, each one with 4 shields. To actually have that level of coverage around the whole circumference of the middle would probably take more shields than that. But more to the point, with a spin block, the chance of reflecting a bullet goes up with the steeper angle of incident where the shell actually connects with the shield. So with a static shield, there'll be an angle of approach which would result in that shield having a very low angle of incidence. So it's basically flat. So the bullet would have a much higher chance of just punching straight through the shield and hitting the weapon system. And it looks like the meteor hammers are being directed toward these vessels over there, and you can just see chunks of the vessel no longer there. The meteor hammers are fantastically powerful weapons. They basically just punch holes in what they hit. They don't do a lot of kind of AoE damage, but they do an awful lot of damage on the whole. But back to the shields. Now, the way that the shields work is because they're spinning, the shield will change its angle of incidence constantly from any particular angle of attack So there's never realistically going to be the perfect angle to attack from because the shields are constantly going to be in motion. So as a result, there will always be a point where that shield is going to be at a good angle to deflect a bullet. That's why I like spin block shields so much. But I strongly suspect that at this range, we're going to have a bit of trouble taking on this fortress. So what I may do is draw our fortress a little bit closer. It's going to take me a little bit of time, so I'm going to cut that part out. But soon, very soon, we are going to be able to take this out. Also, we've got a load of torpedoes coming through. What are these down here? Ah, these are supporting the fortress, I see. Let's actually see how our torpedoes do. These are the ones coming from the Mandrakes. And they're actually doing a fair old chunk of damage. Look at that. I just punched a hole inside. Very nicely done. Going for fuel stockpiles. Actually, before I start bringing the fortress over here, let's have a proper look at this thing. This is, again, a thing of beauty. I actually feel remarkably bad for contemplating taking this out. What is up here? That is a beautiful lighthouse. This is a missile defense system, it seems. Very nicely built, actually. Very nicely built. I might rob that idea. What have we got down here? Bunch of AIs. Just simple AIs controlling basic cannons. Got more explosions going on all over the place. Those torpedoes are doing a very good job of hitting things. Also, the laser is occasionally catching things. We've exposed a chunk of the engine by the looks of it. That probably won't last very much longer if that laser can just be a little bit more focused on what it attacks. But look at this. There's a proper little door entryway down here and everything. Oh, Deepwater Guard, when did you get so good? I feel remarkably bad about trying to destroy you so much. We could have been friends. With your artistic acumen and my just stubborn patience on building things, we would have been able to do amazing things together. Alas. It must be over. Let's chase these shells back to base, see if they actually hit anything. Got a lot of torpedoes on the way. I suspect those torpedoes are coming towards us, though. Those are torpedoes coming from the Deepwater Guard, but they don't seem able to really overwhelm the healing ability of our fortress. It's keeping our mandrakes going, it seems. Plus, it's actually shooting these things down before they get too close. I worry about that one, though. That one may be about to cause the mandrake quite a lot of trouble. Please shoot it down. Shoot it down now. There we go. That's a little bit better. That's what we needed to see. Right, okay. Well, I am going to have to be driving us over towards the outpost. It's going to take me a very long time, I suspect. So I shall bring you back when we're closer. Huge chunks of blocks gone. Oh, I think we may have won. I think we won from extreme range. We've probably disabled enough. I'm not sure. It's saying destroyed, maybe AI dead. It looks like we may have taken the AI out with the EMP from the Mandrake's torpedoes. Oh, that is impressive. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it to be the laser or, if we got close enough, the meteor hammers. But the Mandrakes managed to take this fortress out. Well done, Mandrakes. But you can see the EMP damage just propagating through the block, so that does not surprise me too much. I am sorry to see you go, awesome Deepwater Guard Fortress. You are beautiful still, even in death. And welcome back to our fortress in the resource ring, surrounded by a guard of 5 Mandrake torpedo systems. Realistically speaking, I don't think this fortress is at any risk from a waterborne threat outside of some sort of crazy laser battleship submarine aircraft carrier. Outside of that eventuality, I don't think anything that sits on or in the water is going to ever get close enough to damage this thing. We've got an incredible amount of torpedo firepower. We've also got a lot of close-range mine power, and of course, a fair bit of strength in the laser and the meteor hammer missiles. This fortress has found its new home. It shall be staying here as a forward base of operations for any kind of campaign closer to the east side of Janwal. That probably means the Lightning Hoods are going to be basing out of the Kabandha fortress. Now, all that remains is to actually save this fortress under its new name. So let's just zoom right in there, grab you, and save construction as no longer shall it be the Herberu. It shall be the Kabandha. Now, I had to say that out, otherwise I would forget how to spell it. I probably still have forgotten how to spell it. I'll have to double check that and make sure that everything is okay. But there we go. The Kabandha. I'm going to trip over that word. Damn it for names that seem so interesting, being difficult for me to say. But the Kabandha fortress is in place and is already starting to bring us in a healthy income from this resource area. It has basically drained this resource area to the minimum that the resource area will sustain before it starts to scale up how much it regenerates to meet the recovery rate of the gatherers. But I really like the mandrakes just all sat there nice and tidy. Now, I did miss one thing, and that's why we got 5 instead of 3. I had this under here set to allow it to have max lifetime spawns of 10. So although in a battle it was only trying to preserve 3 mandrakes at any one time, the moment I pulled it out of battle to let it move over to the resource ring, because I wasn't going to wait for it to do that normally, so I could speed up time to 10 times, the moment I brought it back in, it no longer considered the mandrakes, which were now part of its fleet, to be its spawns. So it started building another 3. So I stopped it at 2, repositioned them so I've got a nice kind of ring of 5 mandrakes, and I've set this to a lifetime max spawn of 3. So basically, it's not going to start spawning anymore until all 3... until it's got less than 3 mandrakes with it, basically. Now, I'm very, very happy with the progress that we have made. We have finally taken our first steps into the campaign proper. Basically, we've completed the tutorial, as long as it has taken me to do. That was effectively the tutorial. The Deepwater Guard are no more. We shall miss them a little bit. We've got some preserved fleets, and I'm actually thinking of moving the Armox militia fleet over here and properly naming it the Deepwater Guard Museum Fleet. They can just live where traditionally it was their home. We'll create a little bit of a reserve for them under the watchful gaze of the Kabandha Fortress. That actually sounds horrifically bad from a kind of ethical point of view. The dapper Avak in me is mortified, but the dark Avak is just chortling in his inky black corner, chilling out with the crews. But that is going to be it for this episode. In the next, we are going to decide which faction is our next target. You're no longer of any consequence. We're on the brink of war with the Twin Guard. We are also on the brink of war with the Great Talons. We need to decide which one is going to draw our attention, let's say. We are friendly with a couple of others, suspicious with a few, but generally I think these 4 are largely going to ignore us, and we're allied with the White Flares because I keep bribing them with crystals. But we'll have to see which target we set our sights on in the very next episode. I hope you've enjoyed this one and are enjoying the series as a whole, and look forward to any feedback you may have on how the Mandrake operated in its first battle. You can expect to find links to both the Mandrake and the Kabandha in the Steam Workshop, so if you want to play around with these forces yourself, then you're more than welcome to. But that is it from me, so as always, do take care.